This is Caffeine Coils, and I'm Deanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And we have a special guest with us today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is David Myers. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Carrier Corporation. I've been with the company and the industry for just over 32 years and very much look forward to today's discussion.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Can you share a little bit about the history that has taken place between Carrier and Mingledorff's and how this partnership began?
Yeah, we go to market in North America through an exclusive distribution strategy whereby we have roughly 33 distributors across North America that have specific zip codes and territories assigned to them. So we have a very close, relationship with our distribution, and our relationship with Mingledorff's, I think, spans over 75 plus years. And most of our distributors have been doing business with us anywhere from 25 to, I think, our longest is around 88 years. So it's a very close relationship. We've led the industry not only in product and innovation and development, but I think more importantly, the strength of our distribution. In fact, at our CFAD meeting last month in Boston, we had the opportunity to honor Bud Mingledorff, and is one of the introduced into the Carrier Hall of Fame. So we've got a long, storied relationship with Mingledorff's. Great partnership. Again, they've been a partner for us for a long time, for decades, and it's something we really treasure.
Yeah, we were really thrilled to hear that Bud was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And we feel really lucky and we're so thankful that we have such a good relationship between Mingledorff's and Carrier. So speaking of that, in your view, what are the core values that keep this partnership strong year after year?
I think first and foremost is mutual respect. I think we understand and Mingledorff's understands, things from each other's perspective, what our motivations are, what we need to accomplish respectively as companies in order for us to both be successful, sustainable, and consistent in the market. Again, we've both been around for a very long time, and we understand each other's motivations and, again, what we need to do to mutually succeed. We're very much aligned with one another and our goals and what is important to each of us. And, obviously we operate a little bit differently as a publicly traded company and Mingledorff's as an independent, but simply, we just want to make sure that we are both the best at what we do and what we're responsible for in serving the dealer contractor community. And we're always looking through opportunities and challenges and all that we do through the eyes of the dealer contractor, and who places their bets with us daily. Their purchases are discretionary, and we're married to each other, so to speak, on the distribution and manufacturing side, but our contractors are not. So again, I think a strong understanding of what drives us and what drives Mingledorff's allows us to have a very strong partnership.
What are some of the ways that you found that can strengthen the relationship between distributors and Carrier?
We've gone through a massive amount of change over the last 4 years with the move in SEER, and then as everyone knows, this year with the move to new refrigerants. So as simple as it sounds, we listen to one another. I think we're both collectively very open to change and how we can collectively improve our businesses. Again, Mingledorff's is the conduit to the market for us, to the dealer contractors, and everything that we do to try and serve the end market. They're the closest to it, and we rely on them to ensure that we are focused on what we need to be focused on. We engage with Mingledorff's all the time through partners and development programs where we actually work with Mingledorff's and their dealer contractors in the development of products. We have what's called a DAC, a Distributor Advisory Council, and David Kesterton and others, Jim Spinello, others from Mingledorff's are very much involved in those distributor meetings. And we take the A part of the advisory piece very, very seriously and listen to our distribution. And again, Mingledorff's has always been a part of that. We work a lot with distribution with their dealer meetings, make significant investments in training and development. And again, it may sound a little bit cliche, but I think the communication and transparency, words that we all use a lot today, are absolutely paramount to our collective success. And we live it every day with our distribution. And I think, a perfect case in point is what we're all dealing with right now, which is the uncertainty around tariffs. What does it mean? How do we collectively respond? How do we as a manufacturer and Mingledorff as a distributor control what we can control better than our competition? And again, at the end of the day, it all comes down to communication and alignment with one another. And so consequently, we communicate in multiple ways. There's lots of informal texting, emails, gathering feedback from the market, and again, just staying very, very connected to our distribution.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked a lot on the podcast about communication and how important that is. So, I like that you mentioned that. How does Carrier work with Mingledorff's to better serve the contractor community?
Again, it goes back to listening. Mingledorff's is the closest to the market. They're the ones that work with, do business with, train, and serve the dealer contractors. So we rely very, very heavily on, what Mingledorff's recommendations are to us as it relates to training, product development, and anything and everything that we do to touch the end user dealer contractor. And we're fortunate. Mingledorff's has been around for a very long time, and you have some of the very best people in the industry. I think about Kurt Whalen, Jim Spinello, of course, Michael Hopkins, who I've learned a tremendous amount from over the years, and the connectivity that you have with your dealer base. And we just try to understand what it takes to do business with a distributor as strong as Mingledorff's and the dealer contractors that you do business with. And at the end of the day, how do we find a way to simplify the way that we do business with Mingledorff, the way we do business and interface with your dealer contractors, so that they can focus on selling, servicing the customer, and minimizing, the noise in the background.
What are some of the specific ways that you help with those customer needs?
As I mentioned, the Partners in Development program is something that we take very seriously. So whenever we're doing improvement to products or we're introducing new products like we had to with the new SEER requirements a couple of years ago, and certainly with the move to R54B Pure on Advance and the fact that it was an A2L refrigerant, there's a lot of things that we connect with at all levels of the organization, from the sales side within Mingledorff's, the services departments, your service technicians, even in the warehouse. We have issues sometimes with concealed damage when we deliver a product. So we work a lot with everything and everyone we can throughout the whole value chain as it relates to us and how we interface with distribution. And it includes, again, anything from product development to warranty fulfillment, warehousing, deliveries, anything and everything that you're involved with in servicing your contractors.
What are some examples of programs or tools that Carrier and Mingledorff's have collaborated on to help contractors succeed?
There's several, most of which are on the marketing side. So when we think about Bryant Bonus or Carrier Cool Cash, financing programs, things like that. Again, the market's changed, the market's evolved. Consumers are much more involved today than they were before. So we work very closely with Mingledorff's and again, their contractors, and what is the most relevant and the right type of programs to go to market. And again, as we've seen with the changes in the industry on the regulatory side, equipment has become more expensive. Affordability has become a bigger issue than it has been in the past. The way products are developed are more technical than they used to be in the past, rather. So we work very closely on, again, marketing programs, training, anything and everything as it relates to make sure that, we're serving the market appropriately in 2025, which I assure you is significantly different than what we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's all parts of the business, again, from generating leads to servicing leads to, the replacement side, parts, supplies, anything and everything in the life cycle of our equipment.
Yeah, I think things change so quickly now. We've talked about that a lot on here too, but it just feels like it's moving at lightning speed these days with changes in technology and just changes in administration. Yeah, regulations, administration, all of that stuff.
So do you have any examples of when customer feedback might have influenced some product innovation or development?
Oh gosh, there's I mean, again, several. I mean, I think in the context of, again, as I've mentioned it 2 or 3 times, our Partners in Development program, whenever we develop a product, and I'll take the Southeast where Mingledorff is located, where humidity is an issue, we install hundreds of test units, and we engage dealer contractors to do those installations, monitor those installations, and basically from the field up tell us, our designs working as we expected or not? What changes do we need to make in the development of those products? We test for life cycles, so we like to go through multiple seasons. And again, we really listen to the dealer contractors as it relates to installations, because there are multiple things we can do in our labs to test and test to fail, but nothing replaces the real world and how products get installed, whether they're on the coast, again, high humidity environment, weather and the impact that may have. And then again, as it relates to programs, our factory authorized dealer programs, we get a lot of involvement and recommendations and suggestions from our distributors like Mingledorff's as to what training requirements are relevant today, what marketing is required. So we are perpetually touching and reaching out to our distribution and dealer contractors to make sure that what we're doing is consistent with what the market needs and what the market requires.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it is. To hear that there is so much testing involved, and it is, based on the region that you're in, because, the different regions of the United States are all different. So we're obviously all going to have different kinds of needs and different feedback for different products.
Sure. What excites you most about the future of Carrier's partnership in the HVAC industry?
I think that we have everyone throughout the entire channel for the last 5 to 8 years, I'd say, have been so focused on the regulatory changes and requirements. And it takes a massive investment on the part of Carrier as well as distribution to make these changes in refrigerant, again, as we're going through today. And then the SEER requirement a couple of years ago. There may be something coming in the next 2 to 3 years on the furnace side, but with all that energy that we've had to focus on getting prepared for all the regulatory changes, I think what excites me and I think us the most is getting back to just basic selling and winning in the market. We're going to be able to focus our investments on enhancing the products that we've come out. We're not going to have to wholesale redesign and reintroduce like we've had to. Coming out of a post-COVID environment, we've all gotten much better at managing the supply chain with finding duplicative suppliers. So I think the exciting piece is that we think we're very good at what we do as an OEM. We know that Mingledorff's is the best in the industry from a distribution side. And as I said at our FAD meeting in Boston a couple of weeks ago, there's no question the biggest asset we have is our dealer contractors. And, we know we have to earn their business day in and day out. So the excitement comes from now it's execution. So we can focus on execution, focus on getting better. The product piece will always be important, but the product changes going forward will not be as near as extensive as they have been in the last 5 to 8 years. So it's winning in a market that's going to be a little bit tighter. I think the market's going to be tighter in the next couple of years than it was during the COVID timeframe. And again, we've always proved during tougher markets and tougher times, because of the strength of our channel, we historically have done very well and won. So kind of a long answer to your question, but the excitement comes from the fact that now it's time to execute. And I think that we're very, very well prepared and collectively aligned in the channel to succeed in the future.
Yeah, I think that the conversation about the refrigerant change has been going on longer than Jenny and I have been even in the industry, because we've both only been in the industry for 6 years or so. So yeah, I think it's been a long time coming. And so I think everybody's probably excited to get over this hurdle and
have a break from training and talking about it and trying to determine, what's coming next and anticipating it. So I think we're all looking forward to having a break from that and getting to pivot back to, like you said, selling and winning business and getting back to the basics.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could describe the Carrier Mingledorff's partnership in one word or phrase, what would it be and why?
That's a great question. That's a very good question. And this may sound like a kind of a sterile way to describe it, but I think it is absolutely paramount for our success to have alignment. So if I had to pick one
Right.
word, I'd say alignment. We have to be aligned on all parts of the business. What is required for us as a manufacturer to succeed? What is required for Mingledorff's to succeed? We have to be on the same page. And at the end of the day, it's how do we serve best our dealer contractors, Mingledorff's customers? Because without that, we will not be successful. And I think that we've done a very good job over the past decades, and I'm very confident for the future that the way that we work with one another, the way that we listen to each other, that, Willis started this business in 1902, so I'm every bit as confident that the way we've operated, we will continue to do so for the next 123 years. I also think it's important that we appreciate the need and recognize and understand our mutual dependency upon one another. So for us to do what we're supposed to do and do it well, and Mingledorff as a distributor to be best in class and what it means to be a distribution company, and work together to ensure that our goals are aligned, our objectives are aligned, and which again is first and foremost around the intense focus on the end customer who makes their purchasing decisions every day. And lastly, related to that is it's a people-related business. It always has been. I think it always will be. Despite what happens with technology, people do business with people they like. And our core values are very aligned and similar from Bud to David to everyone down through Mingledorff's, through Dave Gitlin, down through everyone within Carrier Corporation. And, thankfully, when I look back over my last 32 years, I've had the opportunity to know, work with, and learn from and win in the market with so many great people from Mingledorff's. And, quite frankly, I consider most of them friends. We bet on football games. We text during golf tournaments, take trips to one another.
Yeah.
And, it's a great relationship that we don't take for granted. And it's because we can look through each other's eyes and ensure that we want each of us to be successful, and we recognize our respective parts. And again, we are very mutually dependent upon one another, and that's created an outstanding relationship.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here's your this is our game for the ender. These are so I'm going to tell you a sentence, and you have to determine if it's a true or false fact.
Okay, who's playing? Are we both?
You're both playing.
We're both
so
playing, okay.
You guys are going to be against each other. I'll try to keep score. Okay, so the highest recorded temperature on Earth was 134 degrees in Death Valley, California in 1913. Is that true or false?
I believe that's true.
I'm going to say false, only because I feel like there's probably some truth to it, like a nugget of truth, but there's probably something in there that's not quite true.
Well, it's interesting that you said true and she said false, because it is true, considered true, but it is disputed, because some people have said, like, there are other records that haven't been updated or something like that, and so it's not the true highest recorded temperature, but it is kind of known to be the highest temperature.
Okay.
So officially, I'm right.
Yes, officially we right. So we will give the point to you for that one.
All right.
The world's largest air conditioner, located on an aircraft carrier, is capable of cooling an area the size of 4 football fields.
All right, I'm going true on that one.
My
brother was in the Navy and flew off an aircraft carrier, and I know how big they are, and I would also say that that's true.
Okay, yes, you're correct. It's true.
Okay.
In ancient Rome, public baths were cooled using early forms of air conditioning that circulated water through walls.
False.
I'm gonna say false on that one.
It is false. They were actually heated using a Hipparcos system, which circulated hot air under floors and through walls, but there is no evidence that they used water circulation for cooling.
Interesting.
Yes, there was.
The efficiency
first
of an
radiant
air
floor
conditioner
heaters.
is measured by its SEER rating.
That's
I mean, I
true.
hope it is. This is kind of the easiest one on here.
True.
Yes, of course, it's true.
Yeah, that was like a, what do they call that one? A softball?
Yeah, I should have started with that one, maybe.
That
I'm starting with
was a
the
softball.
old history ones.
I'm glad we got that one right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'd all get fired if we didn't get it right. The shortest war in history lasted just 38 minutes between Britain and Zanzibar in 1896.
I feel like this was like a wacky fact or something that my husband spouted off one day, so I'm going to say true.
What do you think, David?
I will say true as well, just because I've never heard of it, and the British have had a lot of wars, and so I would say that's true.
It is true.
All right.
Okay, next. Bananas grow on trees.
True.
Yeah, I think that one's true.
It's actually false because bananas grow
Ooh.
on large herbaceous plants, not trees.
But don't they get really tall, kind of like trees?
It's not considered a tree. It's a herbaceous plant, which was the
that's
first
like
time I'd
tomatoes
ever
are-
heard of
It's
that.
like tomatoes are fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the first time I've ever heard of that type of plant, so I'm sure it probably looks similar to a tree. Okay, this one made me sad. Cows have best friends and can become stressed when they are separated. Is that true or false?
True. I think that's
I think
true.
it's probably true.
It is true, and it makes me sad.
I believe that for a lot of different animals, like, when you separate, like if two dogs grow up together and then you separate them, and a lot of times they'll like mourn over that separation.
All right, my last one. A group of
Sadly,
flamingos is called a flamboyance. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, sadly, when you read that question, I was thinking of a Chick-fil-A commercial. So on the cows.
Oh, yeah.
So, wow.
That's funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
what's
the
the
last
last
one
question?
is a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. Is that true or false?
True.
I'm going to say false.
It's actually true.
I don't know how I knew that,
Okay.
but I did know that one.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it. So you guys did great. I
think
actually
we
didn't keep
tied.
score. Yeah,
I think
you
we tied
probably-
because we both got a lot of them, and then I think the one that he missed and then the one that I missed counteracted. So
All right. Well, we'll call it a draw.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll do a rematch one day.
All right. Sounds fun.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to talk with
bet.
us today.
All right. Thank you both.
That's all we have for today. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.